Hi, everybody.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
Good to see faces again, kind
Half
of.
faces.
I guess, half faces. I'll take it. Good to be in a room with people. My name is Aphrodite with Premier World Discovery. They really named me that when I was born on the island of Crete, and then they moved me to Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah. And you know what happens when you're named like that? It makes you tough, you know? Really happy to be here and share with you our travel opportunity. Want to introduce our company somewhat. We haven't offered a trip here in the center in some time. So our company is based in Redondo Beach, California. I am based in Seattle, so I just made my way down the road, and I'm actually on the south part of the city, so making it down here is really easy. Our company was established in 1999, so we've been in business. We're going into our 23rd year, certainly very proud of that. We do offer 80 plus worldwide destinations, so trips all over the world, including domestic itineraries and so forth, and happy to bring this opportunity to you today. Before the pandemic, we were averaging about 10,000 travelers a year, and really happy to report, you know, it's been amazing to all of us in tourism. We really didn't know how long a recovery from something like this would be, but we're almost back to our pre-pandemic levels in terms of travel. So I think that's a testament to you know, the pent-up demand for travel. Also a testament, I love my family very much, but after a year and a half with those people, I was ready to go anywhere. Our company, what you see here on the screen are a number of associations and accreditations in the tourism space. The most important one is right here, USTOA, the US Tour Operators Association. Kate here at the center does a really good job of vetting the companies that work with them. Both Colette and our company are members of USTOA, and that's really a credit to what Ron and Kate do to make sure you're with the right partners. To give you an example, before the pandemic, there are thousands and thousands of tour operators in the United States. Before the pandemic, there were 56 members of USTOA, okay? After the pandemic, that number is 48, right? And the reason for that is companies have to put up $1 million bond to be members, okay? So this protects you and above and beyond all of the protections we carry for you as consumers. This is an additional one. If anything goes funny and so forth with the company. So you're in really good hands. With Premier, you know, our ethos around travel and these tours is that they are inclusive, that they include sightseeing and quality hotel accommodations, great tour directors throughout, transportation, top level transportation, meals and so forth. So it's really a turnkey vacation. And these river cruises really go above and beyond. I'll be discussing that and the inclusions of a river cruise, which are really, it is quite inclusive and special. Additionally, river cruises are really set up, they're different than ocean cruising. So if you've not been on a European river cruise, I'm not much of an ocean cruise fan myself, okay? And the reason for that is it's a wonderful product, but it's more focused on the ship than it is the land experience. Well, river cruising is the exact opposite, right? Think of it as a floating hotel. So when you are docked in Amsterdam, you can get off and on the ship as much as you want. You can go into town, you can skip dinner if you wanted, you can go out after dinner and have a walk, and that's what really makes river cruising quite unique. Every day on river cruising, there will be included sightseeing, and some days there will be some optional excursions, and that is set up that way very purposefully, right? Because maybe you want extra time in XYZ town to explore on your own, to do a little shopping, to do, you know, maybe you want to rest, read a book, whatever it is you want to do, or if you want to do some additional sightseeing, those are some opportunities that are available as well. And I will be going through all of that as I go through. So at the end, of course, I'm happy to answer any questions you have as well. 10 days, Holland, Windmills, Waterways, and Tulips River Cruise, April 26th through May 5th is the tour departure date. And these are privately chartered ships. we, as Premier World Discovery, we have all of the space. So you're going to be traveling with other like-minded travelers from other senior organizations around the country. The entire experience is done in English. You don't have to listen to announcements in 3 or 4 different languages, which is pretty common on river cruises when you're just going with the retail public. This is catered to our audience and so forth. The Holland Tulip River Cruises are the #1 best-selling river cruise every year, okay? There's all kind of river cruises on the Danube, on the Rhine, on the Mosel, on the Seine in Paris, on the Douro in Portugal, and yet nothing outperforms the Tulip river cruises. They're the best sellers. So in fact, for us as a company, we have 2 back-to-back charters. There's one before this and this one. So that just is because of the demand, and even saying that, these will sell out in lickety-split. They really go fast. So once you're sure you're interested, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So we arrive in Amsterdam here. First night we'll spend in Amsterdam, and then 7 nights aboard our ship, the Amadeus Queen. Our highlights, an Amsterdam Canal cruise. We'll see the beautiful village of Zaanse Schans. We'll visit Arnhem and really delve into some World War II history there. Antwerp, the Keukenhof Gardens, that is the most famous tulip garden. It's not the only tulip garden you'll see on this cruise, but it's certainly the most famous one and really a highlight. And of course your 7-night cruise. All cabins on river cruises are outside cabins. There's no inside cabins. They're really beautiful. These ships are beautiful. They're the most beautiful ships really sailing in the European waterways. When you're on the cruise, all of your meals are included. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Those are 3 of the 5 meals they serve, because we also have a high afternoon snack and a midnight snack, and your beer and wine is included with dinner, soft drinks as well, so no additional expenses there. Wi-Fi, so that you're able to upload photos and email and text with friends, that's included on the experience as well. So really top-notch all the way through. So with Europe, obviously we leave on day 1 but arrive on day 2, right? So we have, of course, the time change, and we'll spend our first night in Amsterdam in a hotel, and then on day 2 we'll start our sightseeing and board the ship and so forth. So our hotel is the Hotel Edam in Amsterdam, which is right on the canal. This is the actual entrance to the building. And you know, an Amsterdam hotel, just like European hotels and so forth, they're different than a Hilton or a Hampton Inn like I stay so often, right? Where every room is the same. These are older buildings that are converted into a hotel. So one room is kind of different than another. You experience this in many places around the world. Ron and I were talking about a funny story in Costa Rica just before you come. So expect that with the European hotels. This is a wonderfully located property. Again, you can see it's right on one of the canals. Very easy walking to museums and restaurants and shops around the area. You could walk even to the Anne Frank House, which is one of the most popular museums here in the area, within about 15-20 minutes or so. Of course, you can take public transportation or a taxi or an Uber, but that is it. So after a night's sleep, and on day 2 you'll have some opportunities to explore on your own, and we'll rest up and so forth, get you settled in. On day 3 we're going to start our sightseeing with the Canal cruise, an Amsterdam Canal cruise. So of course Amsterdam is built on canals. There are a couple cities that you'll be visiting on this program that are built on the canal system, and Amsterdam is certainly one of them. So here are our canal boats. They are covered with windows. The canal boat driver does narration all along the way. He's going to point out all of the historical buildings that you see and tell you the history and some of the things that you're seeing. So as you meander through. On a beautiful day, which often happens at this time of the year, they can open up some windows and really create a more open experience. This just depends on the canal boat, honestly. We don't know what kind we get in advance for our our touring. Later, we're going to go out and visit the village of Zaanse Schans. Zaanse Schans is how that's pronounced, and it is a neighborhood outside of Amsterdam. So we're traveling outside of the city a little bit. It's kind of a suburb of Amsterdam, if you will. And what is unique about Zaanse Schans is that it is a recreated 18th, 19th century village atmosphere here in the Netherlands. And these buildings are historic buildings. They have been moved from areas all over not Amsterdam, but the Netherlands, and brought here to create kind of a windmill village, a historic village, and really create this experience. Zaanse Schans will have some beautiful tulip gardens as well, so you'll be able to take in some tulips in the early part of the program. Welcome. Now, if you were worried that you won't have an opportunity to get some wooden shoes, I am here to alleviate that worry. They're great on the desk, as a souvenir, as something to remind you. Less great on the feet, so not something we would do some touring. And then later on, day 3, we will board our Amadeus Queen ship, which will be our home for the next 7 nights. 162 passengers maximum, okay? So these are really intimate experiences. It's not like the big, giant ocean cruises with thousands and thousands of people. It is the exact opposite of that. River cruising is very interpersonal. It's just such a unique and wonderful experience. So here we are, boarding. Now, I'll note that these folks, this is a picture from the cruise line itself. You see how they're carrying their bags? That will not be you. We have, of course, baggage service. You don't have to worry about anything. You just walk onto the boat, get your key, you're taken to your cabin. The bags and so forth are delivered to you, and that works really well. This particular ship was launched in 2018. It has a beautiful white interior and so forth. So this is one of the public areas. Literally, you will see the staff cleaning this floor about 5 or 6 times a day. It is gleaming like this the duration of the tour. They just do an outstanding job. This particular ship does have a small pool, and these were the last ships that did the pools, because the European waterways really kind of struggled, not typically at this time of year, but at different times of year with low water, and so the heavier your ship is, it really became quite problematic. Also, this is a master photographer, because this looks like, man, you can get in there and do a couple laps. The beauty of widescreen lenses, because in reality, if you stretch your arms like this, you probably hit both sides, but nonetheless, it's there. Also on board is a small gym, which again, there's a mirror there, okay, because a small gym, it could also be described as a gym closet. I don't know the kind of maniacs who go to this type of facility on vacation. That's good. It's good we got one. I like to go as well, but only because they have apples in the gym. I don't like to use the equipment, but something for everyone. This is the main dining room. So for breakfast and lunch, there are several different ways that you can have your breakfast and lunch. There's an early riser breakfast, there's a continental breakfast in the Panorama Lounge, or you can have a full breakfast here. Lunch has usually 2 options, kind of a light lunch in the Panorama Lounge or a more formal sit-down lunch, and then the dinners are all in the main dining room. The meals on these programs are absolutely fantastic. No one loses weight, so I will warn you of that in advance. And again, your beverages with dinner, wine, and they don't skim. It's not like a California wine tasting. I mean, you got to really tell them if you're done, because it just keeps coming. Beer, soft drinks, things like that. Just really an outstanding experience from beginning to end. Next, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the cabins, and I'll show you the cabins, but I just want to explain to you how the cabin structure works so you have a better idea on how to select. So number 1, on our Mozart deck, we have the suites in that dark blue. Those are the first cabins to sell out. okay? You would think it's the opposite. You would think people go from the lower price up, not a chance. These cabins go very, very fast. So if that is a cabin category that you are interested in, I would recommend getting that deposit in very, very quickly. It just goes quick. There's only 12 of them, okay? Then we have our A category, the light blue. We have our B category, this green color, and then the C category, which is a pale yellow, kind of peaish green. I'm not sure what color, okay? A, B, and C is the exact same cabin in different positions on the ship, okay? There's no differences to the amenities, there's no differences to the size, there's no differences to any of that. Lastly, we have our D and E, okay? On the Hayden deck, this area is where the staff stays, so those are blocked out, but D and E. Lovely cabins as well. That is usually where I stay, so they're well appointed. The difference with the D and E, they have a smaller window, okay, and those windows don't open, but you're still windows to the outside. Those are the last cabins to sell. So if you wait and you try to book on the program, those are probably the cabins that would be available. So the Mozart deck are suites and so forth. This is the layout. The bed can be made together or separated for two ladies or two gentlemen who might be sharing, whatever the case is, if you're traveling with a friend or a family member. You know, you are still in a cruise cabin, so you're relatively close. When I went in 2018 with my friend Cindy, we had about 4 inches between us. There was improvement. I went last year in December, we had about, 7 inches, so just imagine that it's still small cabins and so forth. They're really well appointed. They compare favorably to an ocean cruise cabin, but you're still in a cabin. So the suites have the sitting area that you see there. They have walk-in closets and a small balcony where you can step out to the outside, open up for fresh air. Here are our A, B, and C's. Again, the bed can be made together or it can be made separately. You still get great closet space, a little bit of a sitting area, and this window opens to the railing level, okay? There is a switch, it's electronic on the side of the window. You press it, zzz, the window comes down. So you can kind of sit there like a Dutch door. And really you can take pictures unobstructed, you can get some fresh air in your cabin, and the A, B, and C's are all the same cabin with that drop down window. And then lastly, here's our D and E on the Hayden deck. Okay, so you see the window to the outside, it is smaller, it doesn't open. The other cabins all have floor to ceiling windows. This is a smaller window and a bit of a smaller cabin, but still quite lovely, very well appointed and comfortable cabins. Continuing on to our sightseeing, on day 4, we visit Arnhem in the Netherlands. Population of this city is about 150,000. It is a major rail kind of center, so a lot of rail throughout Europe kind of connects through Arnhem. It's a rail artery, so to speak. And we'll visit the Arnhem Airborne Museum. This is dedicated to the Battle of Arnhem. And you'll learn more about this. Obviously, this was a very pivotal battle in World War II. Arnhem, like many of the cities that you'll visit, actually sustained quite a bit of damage and had to be repaired throughout. So this is one of the cities where you're going to get some pretty good World War II history. The Battle of Arnhem was in September of 1944. The museum here, of course, highlights that, and your guides will also do a great job of bringing the history of this battle and the greater battle kind of to light. So later on day 4, you can have time on your own. You can explore Arnhem, you can do some shopping and so forth. You can relax on the ship, or if you wish to take in some additional sightseeing, we offer an optional to the Kroller Müller Museum, which is outside of the city. So we take you outside of the city, and it is a National Art Museum and Sculpture Garden. The architecture and area is so beautiful in addition to the museum. And this is actually set inside of a national park. So it's really a beautiful area. And again, that's really for you to pick and choose. You don't have to make decisions on this until you're on the program. on which optional tours that you want to take, and it's built to be optional. Those who want to do more can, those who want to explore on their own or have some downtime are able to, so really works quite well. A beautiful museum as well, just the building and the exhibits that you'll see. On day 5, we'll visit Middleburg in the Netherlands, and this is one of the most charming little towns that we're going to visit on the entire program. A population of 48,000, so quite a bit smaller than Arnhem, more of a town than a city, and absolutely beautiful. Again, on a canal system here, you'll go through and take a walking tour and see the various buildings, learn a little bit about Middleburg, and it's just absolutely charming. The town itself and the way that it's set up. On day 5, you'll have an optional, if you wish, and again, you can have more time in Middleburg, you can enjoy some sailing, you can, whatever it is that you wish to do, or there is an optional to the Delta Works and Veere. Veere is the town, and what you're looking at here is the Delta Works. This is an engineering and dam project that took place here, and it's at the convergence of several rivers where they come together, the Rhine, the Moose, and the Scheldt Delta, right? So they had to dam this area and really control the water flows. It prevented flooding from happening pretty regularly. So pretty interesting to visit here and learn about this project. It was really quite extraordinary. And then this is the small town of Veere that you're looking at, where you would also do a short walking tour here in Veere, have some time on your own. So really an idyllic little setting. I don't even give the population because we don't know if someone was born or passed away. It would change it. But here's walking in Veere, just to give you a sense. Again, really feels like you're walking in a little gingerbread village. On day 6, we'll arrive in Ghent, Belgium. So in Ghent, you'll have a little bit of morning at leisure to explore Ghent. Where we are on the ship gives you easy access to the town and so forth. So you can explore on your own here if you wish, or you can take, if you're interested in, a little bit of history. It's so easy to get around, and so many people in Ghent actually just choose to walk around on their own. And so that's kind of why we have it set up this way. But if you choose, you can do a little city tour if you like to get the historical information from the guide, which will include a visit to St. Bavo Cathedral that you see pictured here from the 10th century, 942 to be exact. So just like yesterday. Also on the Ghent optional tour, we'll see the Gravensteen Castle. This is from the 12th century. So really wonderful example of a Norman castle and very, very well preserved, as you can see here. On day 6, we'll visit Bruges, Belgium. So I mentioned to you that Amsterdam was not the only canal city on this program. Bruges is really a highlight on this itinerary, and it is considered the Venice of the North, right? Mm-hmm. So we know Venice for its canals and how unique it is, and Bruges is really, in Central Europe, really rivals that. Bruges is also a city of castles. This is one of my favorite stops on the entire program. There are 50 castles in and around Bruges, and you'll see some of them while we're there and so forth. We're not visiting the castles; it's not part of it, but you'll see them and be pointed out. This is Bruges as well, kind of the main square area. You'll have leisure time to spend and kind of go around. So it's famous for lace. It's famous for chocolate. And it's also famous for French fries. Do you know who invented French fries? It was the Belgians, not the French. Well, I don't know why we don't call them Belgian fries, but nonetheless. And all of these little restaurants and so forth, of course, you're well fed on the ship, but they give you kind of a cone of French fries with a little fork and some sauce, and you walk around, and I encourage you all to have a small French fry snack at some point. Day 7, we'll visit Antwerp. This is another city in Belgium, and it is on the river Scheldt. You would have seen this river where you were at the Delta Works if you participate in that. So this is Antwerp that we'll visit here. Antwerp is really known for its Flemish Renaissance architecture. That is the architecture that you see all in and around here, the beautiful buildings as they're quite close together with their peaks and so forth. For the Antwerp tour, we'll see Steen, that's what you're looking at here, this medieval fortress from the 1200s, so right on the 13th, 12th century kind of line. It would have been built predominantly in the 12th century. So that'll be part of our visit there. You'll also see the Central Rail Station. The Central Rail Station was largely rebuilt. And Antwerp, like Arnhem, really sustained a lot of damage during World War II. So you'll learn about the World War II history as it relates to Antwerp. And the main rail station, it has been largely rebuilt. So that's what you'll see there. So you'll have an afternoon at leisure here. You're able to, again, explore on your own, or there is an optional to go to the capital of Belgium, which is Brussels, and take a Brussels tour. So if you were to participate in that, you would see the Grand Palace, which is the building on the left-hand side. This is the main square here in Brussels. Brussels is the NATO headquarters. So that is where the NATO headquarters, and we will drive by and see the NATO headquarters and so forth, where they, all the countries come together and solve nothing. That's just my opinion. Anyway, on day 8, we'll visit the village of Kinderdijk. That's how you pronounce that. I don't know why they put the J in, just to fool us, I think, but Kinderdijk is the village. It is known for its 18th century windmills that you're looking at right here. Day 8, we'll visit Rotterdam back in the Netherlands. Really an important port city globally. Certainly in Europe, but it is really quite important for its port traffic and the different things. And Rotterdam is really known for its unique architecture, which you'll see all throughout when we go through the tour, including here the Erasmus Bridge, which was built from 1986 to 1996. It's really become a symbol of the city today. You'll also see the market hall. We always try to start. This is from the interior. The exterior of the building is quite fascinating as well. The market hall, it's kind of a mixed-use building where you have offices and some living and so forth, and then this market area on the bottom, which is great. It's a great stop while we're here in Rotterdam. And then the highlight of the program, it would not have been the only tulip garden you've seen, but the Keukenhof Gardens is really what is quite famous here for its tulips. It is a sprawling complex. You're able to walk beautiful paths like this, very easy to get around, and see the various displays of tulips and gardens. And that's really the highlight of the program. You're at the right time of the year to see these beautiful gardens at their height. And they are visited from visitors all over the world, specifically at this time of the year. So you'll see the various displays. And then on day 9, we're overnighting on our ship, right? So that is our hotel, but you're able to explore Amsterdam. You have a full day to really explore. Now, one of the things that you might want to do, I mentioned earlier, is the Anne Frank House. So what you would do there is really speak to your tour director in advance, because you would want to either work with the ship staff or our tour directors to get a reservation to see that if you did. Now, I will warn you that it is several stories. It has a lot of stairs and so forth, so you need to feel confident. There is a small elevator which if you appeal to the staff of the Anne Frank House and really put on your best pitiful face, that's the strategy that I would recommend. They would take you to avoid some of the stairs. You still cannot avoid all of the stairs. Additionally, in Amsterdam, the Van Gogh Museum, the National Museum, just exploring on your own, seeing the various squares and buildings and all kinds of, so really a lot to do. Or again, this is an or. So those who want that time in Amsterdam, want to explore the city, you're able to do it. or those who prefer to go outside of the city to be with a guide and get some more additional information. We have a tour to North Holland, which is to Volendam and Edam. Edam is the famous Edam cheese, so this is the cheese producing area. You know, they take cheese seriously in this part of the world, right? So you're seeing here some of the things. So on day 9, no, I think I've got that wrong, excuse me. On day 10, I've got it wrong on the screen, you would disembark, or there is, as you see on your itinerary, a small optional to extend a couple days to visit the town of Valkenburg, which is a small town here in the Netherlands. So again, on day 10, you either choose to go home from the experience, or you can opt to extend using the 2-night Valkenburg. So in Valkenburg, we stay at a small family property. It's a property we have stayed at for years and years. It's great access to the town. Valkenburg is a small town. It gives you a lot. And then we do some additional sightseeing on the following day. So if you were to continue on the excursion here, day 10, we would travel from Amsterdam through Utrecht and then on to Valkenburg. So this is Utrecht. You're seeing here from the 13th and 14th century. We make a stop here on our way to Valkenburg, so we'll do a little bit of exploring. And then on day 11, our crowning event that we do here on the optional is our 3-country tour. Okay, so you're going to visit 3 countries in one day on this excursion. So we leave in the morning and we stop first in Monschau, Germany. That is what you're looking at here, Monschau. So it's known for its beautiful half-timbered homes, beautiful small town. We'll explore a little bit. We'll give you a little bit of a walk, just orient you, and you'll have some time on your own in Monschau. And then we continue on to the Henry Chapelle Cemetery. Okay? This is in Belgium. The Henry Chapelle Cemetery is home to 7,992 interred American soldiers. Okay, so really quite a moving event here. You'll learn about the folks who are interred here, our soldiers, the history of this cemetery and so forth. It's a really moving stop. Every time I've been here, it really makes you think. And then we'll continue on to Maastricht in the Netherlands. This is the one of the oldest towns in the Netherlands here. So you'll have an opportunity to visit Maastricht, spend a little bit of time here before returning back to the Valkenburg, and the following day you would head to the airport. Okay, so I will remind you that passports are of course required and need to be valid up to 6 months post the end of the program. Okay, so we are in May, so they need to be valid through November at the very least. And if your passport is close to expiring, or there's any issues at all, start that process immediately. They are still very, very delayed. So do check your validity, and if you need to follow through, go ahead. So the rates I've got on here are the base rates as they're listed on your itineraries as well. Again, starting from the entry level in the E category, going all the way to suites. Your rates include everything that I've described here, and of course is described on the flyers. The round trip airfare, when we have 10 or more travelers, which is what we're anticipating from here at the center, will also include transportation from here to the airport and from the airport back to the center, inclusive in the price. So it really is quite an inclusive price. And there is a $200 per person booking discount, which I'll go through and talk about. So
Can I
first,
ask a question?
Sure.
When you were saying transportation back to the center, if some of this group chose to do the extension, so maybe you had not quite 10 all coming back at the same time, would that change up?
That it could.
Okay.
It could. It would be something for us to kind of work
Yeah,
through and figure
okay.
out, which of course we would do. I think once we have a better sense of the numbers and who's coming
Sure.
home early and who's coming, but that's a great point to bring up, and I thank you for that. So it's something we'd have to work through. For our average temperatures, we're in the mid 50s, almost 60 degrees. That's what you can expect. It's springtime, and you know, it's kind of ideal temperatures for tulips. That's really the goal of the program, and that's why they thrive so well at this time of year. So really works well. I will point out our commitment to wellness. This is something, of course, we've rolled out. This is a changing document. In fact, this changed just recently because the federal transportation mandate changed in terms of masks and things like that. Our company continues to do what we have to do to keep people safe and do what we love to do, which is take folks around the world and see the world and experience it and so forth. So we'll continue changing as we need to. Questions on masks and what will be required. Well, it's still changing, of course, and it really just depends on the local, whatever the local, ordinance is what we follow. So if masks are required, then we require them, and so forth and so on. So
What airline do you use?
we use all the major carriers to get you the best flight schedule. So what determines that is once we have a sense of our group. Once I have 12 or more passengers booked from the center, I can get you guys the exact air schedule to share. Because when I have 12 or more, the airline allows me to hold a group air schedule, and I can share that. If we were in a situation where we were with fewer than 12, then I'd probably have the air schedule for you about 60 to 45 days prior. We're really lucky from Seattle. Years ago from Seattle, it wasn't a very good gateway, and it made it hard to get anywhere. It's not the case today. We can get anywhere from Seattle. So I would anticipate a one-stop connection, whether that's Seattle to the East Coast to Amsterdam, or we would the alternative to that would be like a Seattle, London, Amsterdam, or it could be Paris. I don't know what the stop would be, but those are the two alternatives. It will be a one-stop. We just don't have Amsterdam, Seattle directs, especially at that time of the year. We do require all travelers to be vaccinated, and all of our staff and all of the ship staff and so forth. So, I really didn't go into that. We've got a few tour directors that will be the premier tour directors that are overseeing the program, and then there's about 45 to 60 ship staff who are taking care of you. So the staff to passenger ratio on this is really good. You're in great care throughout, and everyone does have to be fully vaccinated. So take that. To save your spot on the program, it would be the $500 per person deposit, plus your travel protection plan if you're going to take that out. I'll talk about that. And I have 75 days on there for final payment, but it's actually 90, so apologies for that. 90 days prior for our river cruise for final payment. The travel protection plan is $475, and that would cover you for so much. Number one, if anyone has a personal medical issue or a death of an immediate family member up until the day of the trip departs. God forbid, you wake up that day, you sprain an ankle, you can't travel, you get all of your money back plus the price of the plan. So that's really quite flexible for you. And then of course, you're traveling on the program, things happen. If you get injured on day 3 and you have to leave the program, there is a trip interruption benefit, which would provide you some benefits. COVID, of course, is still with us, so if anyone were to test positive before the experience, that is covered. And in the worst case scenario, if you were to test positive when you traveled, right, and you were not able to immediately return to the United States, that is covered. Okay, so if we have to get a quarantine hotel, and it's arranged by them, so you're not left dealing with this on your own. They're with you, the insurance provider, and they'll help you with a quarantine hotel. And then when you're able to fly, your airfare is also covered to get home. So a ton of benefits. I always recommend travel protection, but certainly during a pandemic, I really do. So signing up, we've got our reservation forms on the back of the flyer. You can see Ron and get those in. The booking discount, the last thing I'll cover. when your final invoice, payment invoice comes, which is about 90 days prior to departure, it will show right on there. If you choose to pay by check, the price is $200 less than if you choose to pay by credit card. Okay? So that's how the booking discount works. It doesn't expire. If you choose to pay by check, you save $200 a person. And simply, that is, if you're not using the credit card fees that are costed into the program, we give those back to you. That's how it works. Okay? That's how the booking discount works.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks so
I have
much.
a granddaughter that I talked to about possibly being my roommate,
Sure.
but I have my doubts about her ever getting enough money to do this.
Okay.
So, do you like match up roommates?
You know, we don't as a company, but what I'd recommend is that if you are single, you let Ron know, okay? And Ron,
Ron knows I am.
good, good.
Yeah, in the past, we've always tried to hook
Yeah.
the people up to somebody that they want.
So here's what I recommend if you're in that situation, right? So Ron hears of two single folks that are interested in potentially rooming. Then what I want you to do is go have coffee together and
Yeah.
ask all the hard-hitting questions, and I'm serious. Do you snore? Do you party? Do you
Get up in the
stay
middle
up
of the
late?
night.
Do you get up in the middle of the night? Do you dance in bed? You know, just silly stuff. But those are the types of things that you really want to, and especially in close quarters, be confident in. My poor roommate, turns out I'm a snorer. You know how I found out? On a river cruise.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If you know that you want to do this
Yes.
and you're hoping to get a roommate,
Uh-huh.
but you don't know for sure, can you go ahead and put a deposit down in the hopes you're going to get somebody?
So, but then if you didn't get someone, you would cancel?
Pay. No, you pay the.
Yes, absolutely. So you can get your reservation in now, based on the cabin that you want, and once you get a roommate, or if that changes, we'll make that alteration. That is no
Okay,
problem
so
at
the
all.
fact that you ask for the name of the roommate now,
It can be added later.
okay.
It can be added later,
changed
or,
later.
you start with a granddaughter and she drops off, that
Right.
can be changed as well.
Okay.
So no problem there. Yes,
Two
ma'am?
quick questions.
Yes.
One is on the optional tours.
Yes,
So that would be additional cost, right?
Exactly.
Whatever it is you want
Exactly.
to pay to do that. Okay.
yes,
Two is, if I have a lot of miles that I want to use,
yes.
am I still locked into having to fly with whatever carrier the tour company arranges?
No, so if you want to book your own airfare, and I can get you the air reduction rate, I can send that to Ron. Ron, if someone asks that, just send me an email and I can send you back the air reduction rate. So what we would do is reduce the air package, and then you would handle that on your own. Now, when we're reducing the air package, that includes the hometown transfers, and it includes arrival and departure transfers in the location. But we can walk you through all of that, but if you want to book your own air, you're able to. Yes.
And one more, I just thought.
Please, please.
Is there like local transportation involved, like when you're at certain places, like if
Yes.
it's all included in the package?
Yes, all
All the
the
tours.
so if we're doing a driving tour, some of the tours like in Middleburg and some of the smaller areas, we just get off the ship and walk. Because you're right there. That's the beauty of river cruising. But whenever it is like Arnhem and Antwerp, the larger cities, when we have to drive around, all of that is inclusive, yes.
Okay, one more.
Yes,
Last
please,
one,
please,
promise.
please.
Where do we go to view this? Because I've got to sell this to my husband.
Oh, okay, all right. Sell it to your husband. Put your sales hat on. Ron, how will you be posting this?
We're putting this together in a video and it'll be posted on our Facebook.
There you go.
Thank you
And
so
what I'll
much.
do is I'll send a link to everybody that came here so that you can find it.
Oh, good,
Thank you so
okay,
much.
great.
Thank you.
I had a question. If you book an airline group of tickets in a certain category, can you upgrade from that category?
No, not usually.
Okay.
So the restrictions is a great question, and it's
Okay.
good to know going out. But the restrictions on group air tickets are not they're not very flexible. So
So chances are you're going coach and you're going in the
Yeah.
back of the plane, kind of?
yeah, I mean it's on international it's a little bit more flexible, but it's usually the kind of middle third of the plane in the economy section. So that's a great question and one to be aware of, because the reality is the group air allows us to get the pricing, but it does not allow us the flexibility. Yes,
If they book their own air, they're responsible to get to where it starts on their own.
yes.
And if their
Now-
flight is delayed or something, what happens?
So there is an emergency telephone number that will be in their documentation. You can contact us and let us know and so forth. Now, when we reduce the air package, if you were to go on your own, we can, of course, sell you the transfers. We would just give you parameters to participate in the transfers. You have to arrive by such and such time and depart, after or before, you know what I mean? So they'll give you parameters for that. If you wish to purchase our transfers on arrival and departure. So yeah, I mean, if you're traveling on your own and, or with the group, right? Things happen on travel day. There is an emergency telephone number, which by the way, is answered by a live human being 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that's pretty unique. But that way you can communicate with someone and let them know what has happened and when we can expect you. Anything else?
I have a question, just so I'm real clear on the price, just
Please.
sort of looking at, the Valkenburg post extension, anyway, wherever it says, like
Valkenburg.
650
Per
PP
person
double,
yeah.
plus 300.
If you're
So
single.
you would add, if I was a single person, you would add 300 to that
Yes.
price.
So if you were a single person, the price would be $950.
You're right, and the same with all the different rooms or whatever.
Exactly,
You would add the 1,700, 1,300, whatever.
exactly.
Okay, all right.
Okay, now, if you make the initial deposit
Yes,
and then you add on the insurance with that,
Right.
so it'd be about 900 and whatever,
yep,
and you pay that with a credit card,
yep,
okay? So then the final payment
uh-huh,
you made with a check.
Yes.
But you get the discount,
exactly correct.
so you can do the first part on the credit card.
Absolutely. Yeah, deposits and TPP can be done on credit card and you would still get it. It's just that final
Final.
payment. Yeah,
Okay.
because that's the bulk of where the credit card fees are and that's the whole thing.
And so the deposit, if you're doing a double, would have to be twice.
Yes, 500 per person plus
and then
475
per
times
person.
2.
So you're really doing almost $2,000
Right.
deposit if you're going
For two.
single.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you're going single, excuse me, it would be 500 plus 475.
75, right. But if you think you're gonna be double, then you, right.
Yeah, but you don't have to make that deposit until you know that you've got a roommate. So you would
Okay.
just book as a single and we would make the adjustment on your invoice if and when you had a roommate.
So I could book, okay, that's good to know. So I could book as a single
Yes.
and then in 3 weeks I can say,
Exactly.
okay, I did find a roommate.
Yep.
And so now I wanna switch, and you're gonna book whether you want the Mozart or ABC.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, so
Oh,
we
okay.
hold the cabin for you, so once you paid your deposit, your invoice would show
Okay.
the single supplement. And then 3 weeks later, that changed, you had a roommate, so you get a new invoice and that no longer shows the single supplement, so.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
No.
that's great.
Yep,
Okay.
try to be flexible there. Any other questions? Thank you, everyone. It was a real
you.
pleasure. Listen, if you think of a question when I'm not here, just get those to Ron. He's in contact with me. He can shoot over an email and I try to respond pretty much immediately. So, thanks again. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.